Hi and welcome. It's Michigan's AutoTalk Podcast, and this, believe it or not, is episode number 51. I'm Phil Tower, the producer, the guy who talks at the beginning and occasionally throughout the podcast. We're here to remind you that every episode of Michigan's AutoTalk is all about celebrating the automobile, trucks, and everything that rolls down the road. It's all about helping and supporting you, car and truck owners across our great state of Michigan, birthplace of everything automotive. By the way, we are podcasts. This is episode 51. We're pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts, including Apple, Spotify. We're on Google Podcast, and you can even tell your Amazon Alexa smart speaker to play Michigan's Auto Talk, which is pretty cool, guys. I don't know if you guys have one of those dastardly smart speakers at home, but you can say play Auto Talk, and it plays the damn podcast. It's pretty cool.
I get it. When I come home, I don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah,
exactly. That's how the government hears you.
So here we are. A couple of months ago, we did a couple of episodes from inside Garage Kept Motors in beautiful southeast Grand Rapids. This time, Al Schwinkendorf, John Puhek. Al, would you introduce AJ's better half from Garage Kept?
I will. This is Jeremy. And while AJ, I think, is like the foreign car dude, Jeremy's like John and I, more into the hot rod stuff and the resto mod stuff and things of that nature. He sent me pictures of his pickup that we'll put up on our Facebook page. It's a late 60s, early 70s F100. It's got a Crown Vic front clip and coilovers and an LS motor in it and natural patina. It just the type of stuff John and I love. But we wanted to talk to him because there is this situation, and I first became aware of this 15-20 years ago. There's a group called the Good Guys who hot rods like 32 Fords and stuff like that. They are the Southwest, California, the Good Guys Club. They have all the incredible trend-setting hot rods, and they had a meet, the American Hot Rod Association or whatever, down in Kalamazoo. So Bob and I, Verberg, went down there to look at it, and everybody I talked to who owned a cool car was an old dude, because kids can't afford it, man. I mean, when you're sitting there and you go, how much do you got into this 32 Ford? And in 1987, they said 140 grand. I mean, that's like $250,000 today. And these cars cost, if you want the stuff you see in the magazines, it costs a lot of money.
You got to pay to play.
Right. And the issue we run into is there are people who are mechanically inclined, and I think people buy old cars, be it a hot rod or a resto mod or whatever, based on nostalgia. But we also have people of that age group where they think, okay, I just spent $80,000. That's not even realistic. $1.2 million on a 69 Hemi 4-speed Barracuda. I think that's probably more realistic. And I didn't spend that much money on my Rolls Royce, so I expect to just turn the key, put gas in it, and drive it, and everything's going to be okay. And that's not how hot rods work. So, Jeremy, my biggest question to you is how do you deal with that? Because we have a huge problem with that.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate a great introduction. Just to clarify, how do I deal with that? Are you talking about with customers or with my own?
Yeah, because you can't. I mean, I know you guys, and you don't. Well, I don't know you, but I know AJ, and AJ's not going to sell a car to somebody who's got expectations that the car can't meet, and that's what we love about. I mean, you're hand in hand with these people and going through the process, and somebody had a 71 Pontiac Trans Am in high school, and then he finds one that somebody's put an LS motor in, and they've done this and that, and basically hot rod guys turn them into race cars, so they're not streetable anymore. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to get at? Because we get a lot of people that are disenchanted. They got the value that they paid for, but it's not what they expected, and that's an issue.
Yeah, no, that is an issue. There's kind of two sides of it. The one buyer we get, they talk about having that 71 or 455 Super Duty Trans Am back in the day, and they want the car again. and you have to kind of break it to them if they're kind of living under a rock and not knowing what the prices are. That's
yeah. It's not $4,100 anymore, is it?
No. And we get those stories all the time. Boy, if I would have kept that car I had back in the 70s, and and you hear them out, and it's like, yeah, sorry, Bill, we don't have anything that's priced in that range that you're looking for. The other buyer we get sometimes too is they've never owned a classic before. Either they're at a car meet, the TV shows, whatever reason they want to get into that sport industry, and they're like, I want this car. And, somebody's like, I want it, we'll sell it to them, but we try to at least ask them why. Like, what's the reason you're buying it? Well, my dad had this, or my uncle had this. Okay, what do you plan on doing with it? Not that we ask them a ton of questions, but if they're saying occasional ice cream, drive with the family, go to church, whatever on Sunday, do some cruises.
That's the guy who needs it right there.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, and it's like, well, we need to kind of do our due diligence to make sure that this is dependable. I think I've heard AJ say in the past, and I say the same thing. Let's get a TPI, pre-purchase inspection, or let's have a mechanic look at it. You really want to make sure you're not going to get stranded on the side of the road, because that gets to be a fun activity. Not very fun, very quick.
No, and that's when, no, seriously. I mean, we've had people that call Haggerty and then wait like 10 hours on a tow truck, and then there's a divorce, and there's, I crap you not. This really happens. And we also see a lot of cars out there where it's like, we know these people because the cars have been in and out of the shop over the years. And it gets to the point where they bought all the twinkly piece, all the chrome, the new bumpers and side trim and all that. They bought the brand new interior. They just got to pay somebody to put the seat covers on and the dash pad and all that kind of stuff. And they had the motor. They swapped that out for something more modern and more horsepower and stuff. And the ball joints and tie rod ends and stuff are just gone. 60-year-old junk. And the wife goes, it's me or the car. So the guy goes, okay, well, if I got 10 grand, I can take it down and get it painted and get the interior in it and get it looking good and take it to an auction and get twice as much money as what it's really worth. And then my customer always buys that car. And then they're like, well, it doesn't handle well and the brakes suck and this and that. It's like, no, it says it was restored. It's like, no, it was painted and it got a new interior and the shiny parts, because that's what guys do first. It's just the way we are.
Yep.
Yeah, no,
I gotta believe you see that now and then, but you guys I love the way you just say this is what you're looking at and this is how it is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, what's kind of interesting is you get in a car and it kind of, I don't want to sound kind of weird, but it kind of talks to you. You drive a car and you can feel as it's tight. My biggest thing is I'm a little superstitious, where if I get in a car and that horn doesn't work, I'm like, oh boy, what else doesn't work? That's the thing I do in every classic car. It's just a weird little thing. Well, what I kind of go off of that is the horn works, the brakes feel good. Usually somebody takes care of it. You can kind of see that in the first few seconds, minute of driving that car. You start testing the brakes, they feel soft, the blinkers aren't working, and it's like, well, this hasn't been driven or daily driven in a long time. So it's kind of nice. Sometimes we know the backstory of who we're selling it for, or if somebody goes out and buys a vehicle, those are some great questions. Like, when's the last maintenance you've done? Like some of these cars come in and they have a sticker, that they've been to a power tour. Those are the cars I love. Because I know those have been tested. They've been on a multi-100-mile run. That's not going to leave you stranded, most likely. The ones that scare me that are kind of, sexy to some, where, it only has, it's a 1970 Corvette and only has 20,000 original miles. And it's like, well, if you plan on driving it, that is not that sexy, because that might probably have to be restored or gone through maintenance seals, ball joints, all that stuff. Where something has a little bit higher miles and it's been driven a lot, I almost prefer the higher mile car, because it's been ran and driven, and the seal's been lubricated. So
exactly. Whenever we see like it's all original, that just means to me like, okay, it's all dry rotted, everything. It's just it's all gone. It's leaking like a sieve. But no, and I think going back to what you were saying, we've seen a couple of cars where like the hot rod, custom, retro, they're like, they want like a turnkey application, but they still want that like rustic patina look. And it's like, well, if it's a true hot rod, it doesn't break all that good. It doesn't really handle all that well. It, may not have the fancy front clip or whatever, but
should always have more horsepower than brakes.
Exactly. Like
Otherwise, you're like AJ, go buy a Mercedes or something.
Exactly. It handles like crap. It drives like crap. That's the hot rod. That's the whole point of it. So you get somebody that's like, oh, I want that look, but then I want it to ride like my Lincoln or Caddy. It's like, well, that's two different animals right there.
So I just totally want people to know that they need to be aware of what's out there, and everyone's different. And I mean, it can have a Dart aluminum small block Chevy with a 671 blower that's all chrome plated and this, that, and everything else, and be a pile. People buy old drag cars and put chrome on them, and they go, oh, this is the coolest thing, and it's dangerous and all that. But Jeremy, I got to tell you, there's guys like John and I, when we get to the point where we're going to go out and buy that vehicle, we're looking for the one we just talked about, where the wife says it's me or the car, and they threw it together and got it done. Because when I was, I still am, there's cars where the body's nice and the interior's passable, and mechanical stuff we can fix. Absolutely no problem. And then we have friends that want all the mechanical stuff perfect, not an oil leak, everything, the choke's got to be perfect, it's got to start, run, do everything it needs to be. And if the body's junk, they don't care, because they can fix that. So there is room for everybody out there, but it's just the biggest thing that we see is the people who spend huge money on muscle cars and resto mods and think that they are going to be as calm as a brand new little entry level Kia, and that's just not the case.
I still remember that there have been a couple of vehicles we've had where guys are like, oh, I want it all original. And that 68 SS, I'm like, no, when you're going 55 down Cascade, that thing is screaming. You're not,
because the original owner got the 410 gears.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it's fun from red light to red light, but you're not going to drive that more than a couple miles before you get a headache from that long tube headers and all that stuff. So there's so much more to understanding what you actually want. And I think, you guys at Garage Cap do a decent amount of saying, okay, this is what it is. Do you, explaining it and talking and dealing with them.
Yeah, we try to, and we don't always hit it right on the nail on the head, but a lot of people, again, their motives are either daily driving it, or they want to go fast, or they want to have something cooler and faster than their buddy, or they want something that they can fit the whole family in. And it's kind of knowing what those needs are and expectations, but and that's
I don't know how old you are and how long you've been doing this, but I'm got like 41 years in this business, and I will tell you that emotions buy cars. The money thing, they can go to the bank and finance that. That has nothing to do with it. If they want that car, they're going to buy that car. And if we had people that bring 2-3 cars in, and we said, nope, that's not the one, that's not the one, that's not the one. Then they'll just go out and buy it and then bring it in and have it checked out and say, well, too bad, I already bought it. How much is it going to take to make it right? We're been talking with AJ, and we're going to do another remote to record some podcasts from Garage Cap Motors. And this time you better be there. We want to meet you in person.
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah, we would.
Yeah, I'd love to meet you guys in person, and you've been in the shop, so we love having visitors.
Hey, Jeremy, this is Phil. I've got just hearing you talk about the cars, and I've got a prime example. My head is exploded now. I'm looking at on GarageCapMotors.com. This is a straight 72 Camaro. It's a straight 72 Chevy Camaro. It's got the 350 V8. Automatic. It's not built. It's just a nice, straight, clean car. It's got about 90,000 miles on it. It's $37,000. The prices on these things, like you said. I mean, is that the demand? What is driving those prices?
Your smog motor, everything else.
Yeah. So what's really interesting, and it's, how do I say it? I haven't been in this incline of classic cars in the pricing and how fast they're rising. It's hard to predict what's happening 6 months from now. Just a couple examples, even like the Vipers. we're seeing pricing on just a Gen 1 Viper, right around 55, 60, where just a year and a half ago, you could buy them all day long for 30, 35.
Wow.
Low mile
Yeah.
Vipers. And everything is just kind of jumping up. The Camaros, the Chargers, Challengers, the Mustangs, kind of the big three American. They keep skyrocketing. Then if you do 70 Chevelle, Fastback Mustang, Hemi motor, it's astronomical. So I don't know how
it's just supply and demand, isn't it?
Yeah, I think supply and demand. I think there's a little bit of the COVID shortage, and then when we kind of got back out of all the restrictions and everybody went out and started buying stuff, and all the prices started going on, it was kind of in my opinion, which I'm not an econ major, it was almost like a false supply and demand. Everybody bought everything so quick,
right?
It created this fake shortage, and everybody started. And I feel like we can't keep up, and now you have the chip shortage, and I feel like our classics are staying strong because, I'm just drove by Todd Wenzel here in Hudsonville, and I mean there's hardly any new vehicles in these parking lots at dealers,
right?
And I'm hearing people say, "Hey, I turned my lease into my truck, but they didn't have anything else for me to get, so I want a dependable '92 Chevy." So it's
go buy that 1982 Malibu wagon with the 4.3 V6 and drive that puppy. But you know what? I think that I'm going to start a group, and I'm going to invite you and AJ to join me, because there's all these people who are sitting home and are not working that are going out and buying all these cars. And John and I are working our butts off, and we're just trying to keep our pickup trucks on the road. So we got to find out. We need a brain trust to find out where these people get this money when nobody's working. Everybody needs employees, and you're short on cars. You could probably have twice the inventory you got and sell them, I'm assuming, right?
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Is this going to slow up? I mean, I have people like maybe 10 different buyers that like to go out and buy fun vehicles, bring them to us to sell, out of state. So they kind of buy locally and sell nationally. And we get that question weekly. Hey, what's the market look like? Because they're kind of comparing the car market to the stock market. And I tell them all the time, I have no idea. I can tell you right now, it's super, super strong. And I said this a year ago. I said, it's strong now. I don't know if it's going to take a dip or keep going up. And since last year, it keeps going up. It just, to see these auctions, to see Hagerty come out with articles, they talk about classic cars, not just for the entertainment aspect and the fun, but also for investment. And so Hagerty's always coming out with articles talking about how classic cars are an amazing investment because they keep going up.
If you can get your wife to believe that, you're in.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the golden ticket right there.
We just got one more question. I know we got to go. But what percentage of your vehicles are sold out of state or out of country? Because you just said buy local and sell nationally. That's why people come to you, because you have the ability, you're marketing.
Yeah. So for nationally and international, I would say we're looking at 1 to 5% of sales go international. What always surprises people, they say, what if I want to ship a car to France or Dubai? It really is just get the car to port, which is pretty much New Jersey or Miami. So, LA is on the other side of the world. So that, you call that a $1,500 and then another $300 to $3,500 to put on a shipping container. And they're like, wow, that's not as bad as I thought. But most people don't know that. So I would say 1 to 5% international. And then here in Michigan, I would almost say 5 to 10% local. Almost everything.
It's what's sold local, and the rest are going throughout the states.
Yeah, pretty much the warmer states.
Good deal. For somebody who's selling a car and needs some marketing, that's really something to think of. I mean, you can go in there the way I understand it and say, I need this much money for this car, and they will go to sell it and figure their fees, and it's all transparent and everything else, and it's a great way to do business. Jeremy, thank you so much for being on. We look forward to coming out to your shop and doing it again.
Yeah, look forward to it, guys. Love to have you over again.
GarageKeptMotors.com, and you guys are appointment only. I just wanted to, before we let you go, just want to remind our listeners that appointment only, but if you want to see a car, just connect with you guys, and you've got probably one of the most beautiful places I've seen. You guys ought to be one of the 10 wonders of Michigan. That showroom is absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. So Hey, thanks a lot, Jeremy. Credit to Al for hooking us up with you, and we got to do that live broadcast at your place in the near future, okay?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. I really had fun.
All right, you have a good one, and thank you for joining us. I'm amazed. I'm looking at some of the cars on here, and like he said, and I ponder this for a second, what he said. You can't buy a new car right now. There's nothing out there, but there are some really nice 30, 25-year-old, 20-year-old cars on this. There's a 90 Blazer.
A $3,000 some odd dollar 72 Camaro. Are you kidding me? For the price of 2 payments on a new Suburban or Avalanche or whatever, some big SUV, you could buy that thing and drive it. Order your truck, and when the dealer calls you up in a year and says it's in, sell it for more than probably what you paid for it and have some fun.
Yeah, I got John's car. I got a 73 Maverick, race ready. It's got a 302 V8, 24 grand out the door, and it's got 50,000 original miles on it.
Race ready Maverick. See, I'd like that. I'm a straight shot down Cascade, but
I was going to say,
that falls into what we're talking about, where it's just like, dude, this expectations. Yeah, it's fast and it's cool, but it doesn't handle and stuff like that. I think that we'll put Jeremy's truck on the Facebook page.
Good idea.
That thing is
he's
nasty.
all into that. Yeah, he's got it all lowered down. He's got the modern suspension in the front. He did the sacrilege thing and put a Chevy engine in a Ford.
Power.
Henry
Reliable.
Longer than Lewis Chevrolet. Reliable. Oh, my God.
That's a perfect segue to put the wraps on episode 51 before a fight breaks out between our hosts. Don't forget we're on Facebook. Speaking of that, we'll have Jeremy's truck up there, the Chevy-powered Ford, and you can find us facebook.com/Michigan's Auto Talk. Tell a friend. And until next time, I'm producer Phil Tower.
I'm Al Schwinkendorf.
I'm John Puhek. Thanks for listening.